Okay, so this may have happened to you before. You get in your car, maybe it's more than a few years old. You hop in, you turn the key on. Oh, okay. You turn the key, and this happens. Nothing. Now, first thing I need to tell you, don't panic. It's going to be okay. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, so you've turned your key, get a little click, and that's it. We're going to go through and we're going to test and resolve this problem. The only thing you're going to need for now, to find out is one of these, just a test light. They're inexpensive. You can get them for not a lot of money. So it's, if you don't have one, it's worth it to pick one up. You know, as we get deeper in, we'll get into some other stuff. But right now, all you need is one of these, just a test light, and hopefully this is not a stolen vehicle. You have the keys to your car. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out where your stuff is located, because what we're going to test, we're going to be testing, you know, the wiring. We're going to be testing our battery, make sure our battery is fully charged and has enough juice, and we'll be testing the control wire that comes from our ignition switch to our starter solenoid, and then we'll be testing our solenoid itself before we actually go down and crawl under the car to get down into there, down under there, and test the actual starter. So first things first, let's go grab that test light and we'll do the first little check. So by now you've gotten yourself a test light. What you're gonna do is you'll take one end of the test light and you'll clip it. You can clip it to any kind of ground. You know, I personally like to go ahead and clip it to the negative post, and you'll test. Okay, well, we got juice. We got juice. We got juice. All right, one of these wires coming from here is going to lead to one of these. You'll find where the, you know, this red wire is leading to one end of there, and you'll test. Okay, so we know we've got juice coming at least to our solenoid. That's good. Now what we'll do is we'll take off. There's going to be these two big terminals here with, you know, the wires that are coming down off, but we are interested in this one small one that is going to come in and hook up to here. If you've got a if there's four of them, you're going to go to the one. There's going to be a little yeah, it pulls right off. When you look at it, if you've got four posts, you'll have two big ones and two small ones. One of them will be marked with an S. You'll want to pull this wire off the one that's marked with an S. This one only has three. This is your, what we'd call your command wire. This is the wire that is coming from your key switch and coming to here. What we'll do is we'll jam this in there. Hope that it keeps a really good connection. And we're going to either do it yourself, or if you have a partner or a helper or something, you can go in there and turn the key and make sure that that light lights up. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we just saw when we turn the key, our test light comes on, so we know. So that tells us that everything between here and through the ignition switch and up to this is good. So we don't have to worry about breaking open our panel and doing all the scary stuff. You don't have to worry about that. So now what we'll do is that tells us that somewhere in between here and the starter is where our problem is. Now the only thing really between here and the starter is this big wire on this, which is your solenoid. This is what the problem is 99% of the time. Now we know we have power coming into it. We know we have power coming out of that. And if we flick our switch, we should get power coming out of here. Now here's where there's an old trick, and what you're going to need for this is an old screwdriver like this one that you don't care too much about, and you want to wrap the handle pretty generously in some vinyl electrical tape so that it's insulated to and it helps if you have some rubber or some kind of gloves too to do this with. Your ignition's on. You touch one end to that lead of your starter solenoid, and then you bridge the gap with the other one. Touch there, and now you saw the little spark, and that is the old screwdriver trick. So that is how we've managed to isolate everything else and determine that everything except for this thing right here, your starter solenoid, is good. So this is the part that's making your car not start. So we're going to replace it. Okay. So we've tested all our stuff. We've tested our solenoid and discovered that it is bad. We've got our replacement one. They're inexpensive. They don't cost a lot of money. Don't worry about it. In fact, this costs about half the price of just calling the tow truck to take your car into a shop and have this done for you. I mean, this was about $18 or $19, I want to say. This is about 20 bucks, okay? But anytime you're going to be actually doing anything with electric parts, when you're going to be disconnecting and dinking around with wires, always disconnect. Take off the negative, which is going to be, typically your black, but it's marked with a little minus sign down here on the battery. The negative terminal of the battery. Always disconnect that. That way, if while you're messing around doing your stuff, you cross two wires, or you've got two of them in your hand or whatever, you're not going to damage any of your circuitry, and especially you're not going to shock yourself. So we're going to disconnect this. To do this part, to do this stuff, really what you're going to need is you're going to need pretty basic, a set of sockets and a ratchet, or if you can probably do this with with a wrench and stuff, but it's easier with these, trust me. You get some sockets and a ratchet. We're going to need our new solenoid, which will come with the little nuts and stuff to mount it. You're going to need, you're going to need some of this Dielectric Grease. You can get it in a little packet called bulb grease. anything like that. But if you go into AutoZone or O'Reilly or whatever, you go to your auto parts store, tell them you need dielectric grease. They know what you're talking about. They'll find it for you. You need some of that. And I like to have some of this, some blue thread locker. It could come in a little tube, a little squeezy tube, or a gel. This is like a glue stick. You stick that on the threads, and this will help it from rattling loose. If you tighten it down correctly, it shouldn't happen, but it never hurts to be sure. So now we've got all our stuff. We're going to go ahead and we're going to disconnect. So now what we're going to do is be careful and be sure that you don't get them mixed up. But we're gonna first go ahead and unplug this one first. Remember where that goes. And what can help you? You know what else? Everyone has a cell phone with a camera. Before you go taking stuff out, pull out your phone, take a picture of it, and pow! Now you're done. Now you'll put them back together right. So now that we've got it unhooked, now it helps you get yourself a little extension or something so you can reach all the way in there, just because it makes it easier. And we're going to actually take that one out. So unbolted it, taking it out. There it is. This is now, put it on your shelf, put it on your desk, throw it away, whatever. On the second thought, this is a great opportunity to, you look at all these and make sure these are all clean. Take like a little wire brush or some sandpaper or something and, clean all these off. So you take just a little dab of this, a little dab will do ya. And stick it on your finger or whatever, and you'll put a little bit on all of them, just a touch. Doesn't need to be a lot, but you'll put a lot. You'll put a little bit of that on all of these. All the little connectors. All. So now we're going to take our bolts that we're mounting this bad boy in, because we've kept track of them by putting them in the box or whatever, anything to do to keep them from disappearing. This is where I like to put a little bit of blue thread locker, so you don't have to worry about them rattling loose. Now we will have to kind of pull some crap out of the way to get it back in there, but okay. So we'll take this first one and wedge ourselves. Yeah, we're gonna get in there and put our thread locker on there, get in there, and bolt this back in. Back on. Okay, now a word about tightening these things. It'll tell you torque it down to your manufacturer's specifications. You can go through and look that up. It's easy enough to find. You can look that up, but general rule of thumb, don't redneck it on as tight as you can, because if you do that, you might break them. These bolts will break, but just don't need to be like, if you got a little 1/4-inch drive on there, just yeah, we're good. We've put all our little connectors back on there. We've put a little bit of our blue Loctite on the post, just a little bloop, bloop, little dab will do ya. We've put your washers. Alright, and And again, don't redneck the things on there. Just got them on there. They're good, they're tight, it's not going anywhere. We'll again, since we got it out, we're going to put a little bit of this stuff on our battery terminal because it is an electrical connection. So now we're going to reconnect our negative terminal. Now that we're done with everything else, it's the first thing you disconnect and the last thing you connect anytime you're messing with this stuff. So now that you've went and you've gotten the right part, you've used the right tools, and you've followed the instructions, now when you come in, you've done it! You have fixed your stuff.